everybody, and welcome back to Otaku Oasis podcast. My name is Matthew, and I'm here with.
Joshua, and we are back covering My Hero Academia. This time we are covering the Hideout raid arc and the Forest Training Camp arc. I know I got those swapped, but whatever. Regardless, it's covering chapters 70 to 83 for the Forest Training Camp and 84 to 97 for the Hideout raid, and episodes 39 to 45 for the Forest Training Camp arc, and episodes 46 to 50 for the Hideout raid arc.
Was it really only 5 episodes?
Yes, it was only 5 episodes.
Huh. Neat.
So, revisiting them, just what are your kind of general thoughts?
Uh, this was the arc that I was looking forward to the most. Um, Specifically the Hideout Raid arc. That I was really looking forward to getting to this arc again. Um, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's got. I feel like this arc is the most pivotal arc of them all.
Yeah, it is very much the first turning point, I'd say,
Yeah,
in the manga.
there are several, but I think this one is.
I think there are only two, really.
Yeah, it's the one that's currently being animated right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The ones that changed the entire feel of the series.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not like the feel per se, but just like the way that the world is shifts quite heavily after
Yeah,
that
no, things don't.
development.
Yeah, things aren't the same. Um. So yeah, I think let's get it. What were your thoughts reading through it?
I mean, reading through it again, I mean, I still remembered like most of it the first time, so it was very like fairly easy to breeze through. I thought the fights were a little bit longer in the forest like training camp arc, but no, they're pretty short. I guess it makes sense. They're both only like 14 chapters each, and then like pretty much the raid is like practically nothing but fighting the entire time.
Indeed, it is. But
I don't mean that as like a criticism or anything. It was just an observation that I
oh yeah,
made going on a second time through.
yeah. I also think like per usual with this anime, the anime really elaborates on a bunch of stuff. Because I think
Yeah.
the forest arc fights were actually decently long.
Mm,
Some of them.
I I mean the only real focus one is Deku versus Muscular, and
Yeah,
that's
but
about it.
I mean, some of the fights take up like half the episodes, just jumping back and forth. Like, um, the,
The only other one I'd really classify as a full on fight is Tetsu Tetsu and
that's
Kendo versus that poisonous gas
mustard.
guy.
Mustard. His name is Mustard. Get it? Cause mustard
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah, I got it. You didn't need to explain it.
I know.
But
I was being facetious.
I figured. Um, it's actually the same word I was looking to use. But regardless, yeah, those are like the only two ones that I'd actually classify as full-on fights. The other ones I quantify as more of an like, I don't know, they're encounters at best.
Yeah, especially.
It's nothing against it, but like it's clear that like the main goal is not fighting for the League of Villains during that entire thing anyway, so.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I would say Magna and Spinner versus the Wild Wild Pussycats was less of an encounter, and that was definitely them just fighting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just in the manga, it's like mostly like off-screened, so it's like not even that big of a thing. I
Yeah,
think it is mostly in the anime as well. Like it's mostly just an off-screen fight, so you
it
can't
is, but we
really.
do keep jumping back over there every now and then.
Yeah, just because they're the pro heroes who are helping out, it's like
True.
kind of important that we know where they are.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of getting into the force training camp arc based off of that. I don't know. There isn't much I'd say about the lead up to the League of Villains infiltration of the training camp. Other than just at least the one thing that I found quite interesting, at least about the training camp, and it is like a thing that I think has maybe been mentioned like once or twice before prior, but it's just like the idea that like training quirks are like training muscles sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I do, and I did like that. I really liked them trying to explain it more.
Hmm. I mean, it's like quite simple, and like it makes sense that it'd be kind of attached to them, like genetically. So of course you could like grow it, kind of like you do with muscles.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add
Uh,
before?
I did like the phrasing that Aizawa uses. Um, when he's explaining the training, I think he says like specifically like you're going to feel like you're dying because that is a kind of a thing that happens later on that we learn about.
Yeah, I
It's kind
think
of a I don't know if it was an intentional hint towards the future, but it definitely works that way.
yeah, I think the phrasing is pretty similar in both the manga and the anime, subbed, not dubbed.
But do you think it was
Um,
intentional?
you'd have to
Yeah.
say what
All right.
if it's spoilers, we'll save it towards the
It
spoiler
it
section.
it is. We'll bring it up. Well, hopefully I'll remember to bring it up then.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess. Oh, there is one last thing to bring up before like the whole invasion thing, and it links up to it. But the character of Kota.
Ye Oh, yeah, that is one thing I did not like about it, this arc is that you have Kota, the kid, and Koda, the student.
Uh, but Kota isn't all that important.
Ouch, but true. You're not
I'm sorry.
technically incorrect.
I'm like I'm sorry. Tell me a scene where Kota becomes important later.
Actually, I can do that. I just have to tell you in the spoiler section.
I don't. I mean, like other than something like kind of minor.
No, I mean he had a pretty decent part in what's going on, like in the latest couples parts.
Like the current arc
Yeah.
that's going on in the anime.
No, not in the arc, not in the anime. No, what's like actually being published right now in the manga.
Oh, I haven't been keeping up, so I don't
Exactly.
know.
I heard. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, regardless, Kota's like little arc that he goes through with Deku is pretty nice, I'd say. I
It
mean,
is.
it's
I do like it, and I do like that this. I guess this is kind of like the first person that Midori is really saved.
yeah, like actually been physically able to save through both fighting and protecting.
Yeah. I appreciated this arc. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no, I think I mean I definitely think they if I'm remembering correctly, they animated the muscular fight really well.
Yes, especially the 1 million percent.
Yeah.
And then I do like that they scientifically explain how that happened later on.
Okay.
Well, I believe they did. Either that or you and I talked
Okay.
about it later on. I can't remember. I remember someone explained it to me. I thought it was either the anime talked about it or you and I talked about it.
Yeah, maybe we didn't. It's been a while, so
Yeah.
um yeah, regardless. I mean, it is kind of nice. I do have to say, like when it just kind of comes to the infiltration part, that 1B at least plays a little bit of a pivotal role,
Hmm.
even if it is only through like Tetsu Tetsu and Kendo.
Yeah. I think the Toga fight's kind of important.
I mean, is it really a fight? Toga gets in one slash on Araka, and then they just talk.
Well, then she talks, and then Uraraka like uses the gunhead martial arts technique, and then Toga gets a good stabby on her.
Yeah, like I know, like, other than that, though, it's mostly just Toga
It
monologuing.
is, but it sets up a lot of stuff in the future.
I mean, yeah, just, I don't know, yeah. I really, like, I don't know, uh, I hesitate to say, but it kind of falls into, I think, like, a lot of the tropes for, like, shonen heroines, not all of them. I'm not gonna say all of them, but at least like my biggest comparison would probably be that like Otaku kind of becomes a bit like Sakura from Naruto, not in the sense of just like doesn't have plot relevance, because at least Otaku does keep a bit of it, but it's just that her whole thing has to do with love.
It does, and I do think that it is a butchering of her character
Yeah.
because that was never really her. That was never really what she was about originally.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like, like I get it. It's like she is falling in love with Deku, and it's like it's not an inherently bad thing. It's just I don't know. I feel like there was definitely more to a character that she had in the sports tournament compared to afterwards.
Yeah, I yeah, I love that. I really just like how she's treated in the fandom. The two things that she's known for: being in love with Deku and being poor. Like, come on, there's so much more to her character than just those two things.
I mean, not too much more, but
No, no, but no. I mean, no, but come on, you don't need to do. You don't need that doesn't need to be the only thing that's referred to when they talk about her.
yeah, no. I mean, I'd say her resourcefulness that we see like kind of early on.
And the natural skill she has. I mean, she, she can fight pretty well.
That's interlinked with more her resourcefulness.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know. I mean, I do like that she's one of the few characters that Bakugo just does genuinely respect.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, this is especially with the arc after this, it really does become the Deku Bakugo Todoroki show.
It really does. It really does.
And I mean, I get it. Like, Todoroki is a popular character linked with a very high ranking hero, and
Bakugo
it's very
exists
fascinating. And then Bakugo is meant to be the foil to Deku.
and is
Um,
the fan favorite character, which I still don't fully understand, but whatever.
but to be fair, I don't know. I think they like those types of characters in like stories. Don't quote me on that, but there's another like work that I read, Come Can't Communicate, and one of the most like annoying characters to like most people in the West is the fourth favorite character in Japan. So
Yeah, but I think Bakugo's like the most favorite. I don't know.
no, I know he's like number one most times, if not number two.
Which, yeah, again, I don't get it, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I mean he does get better
Oh no, he does
like
definitely
later
get better.
on,
Like, I'll give it to him. He's gotten a lot
but
better.
yeah, I'm still just not too big on him as a character as a whole.
No, I think he has a long way to go.
I don't hate him, but I mean,
He could be better.
I don't think he's getting much more. I'm gonna put it there now from just like he's basically done like what the character arc set out to do, and since it's in the final kind of like saga in the manga, I don't think there's much more growth that you can expect.
No, I don't. I don't really think so.
I do say like at least well, you know what? Let's save it for spoiler talk later. Um, that'll be too much in detail. Um, but regardless, anything else from the forest training camp arc, like from the infiltration part?
No, not really. All right. So
Anything about
actually, no, actually, there's one thing I wanted to say about the forest training arc. What was, Dark Shadow going berserk. I thought that was a really
Oh
interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That yeah. It's
Also, the fact that
no, I
Shoji
mean it's
lost a hand and said, "Ah, no, that's no biggie."
well, I mean he does have multi limbs,
Yeah,
but
but like that still has to hurt a lot.
I feel like if you lost those limbs enough due to combat training, I'm sure it's fine.
I guess. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, Tokuyami losing control. I thought that was
Yeah, I mean it was nice to show because like it is like he did state in the sports tournament arc that it like his shadow does go out of control in darkness at that point.
yeah. And then I did like the callback to also another callback to the sports festival arc when after Bakugo and Todoroki subdued Dark Shadow, Bakugo was like, "And you're still not a good matchup for me,"
Yeah. Then he sort of light weakens Dark Shadow quite a bit.
which is useful.
Hmm. Yeah. Anything else about the characters from the arc? Like any of the new ones, villains or heroes?
Um, I like the I did like the Wild Wild Pussycats, but not all of them. Like, well, actually, there I do have an issue with the arc. Ragdoll, we know we bear. I don't even think she's a speaking role like at all, and yet we're supposed to feel something for her losing her quirk. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I never really got that. That was like always one of those plot lines where I'm just like, okay, but I don't care about Ragdoll. I care about like the other two and at
I,
least a little bit about like
I
the
cared about.
fourth member,
I
but
cared about man. I care about Mandalay. She's got a really interesting story about how her cousins were heroes that were killed, and now she's taking care of their kid, who which we never mentioned. We should mention at least why talk about Coda and
but
why Midoriya was so impactful there.
well, yeah, I don't know. To me, I mean, not to say that it's bad. It's just a very simplistic, like, I hate this thing, but let's have the protagonist show that he's actually very good at that thing and thus
Yeah,
can be a
it is,
sort
but
like, like I'm not saying it's bad. It's done very effectively. It's just, I don't know. It's also a thing that I've noticed in other media as well. So I'm like,
it's
I
fair.
don't know.
Yes,
Like the code, like the forest training camp, like nothing against it. It just never really did that much for me. Like even the Kota stuff and whatnot, I'm just like, yeah, cool. I'm great. I'm glad it's like showing at least, I guess, technically a bit of progression for like Deku to be able to inspire others. But
yeah. I think
I don't know,
this
just never did much for me.
yeah. I always liked it, especially the 10 million% Detroit Smash or whichever city he wanted to use.
Yeah, no, I mean that part was fine. Like the fight, the rest of it, that was all good. I liked that part, but.
Yeah. And I really the one thing I do like about the 1 million% Smash is I always really like the every time they do a huge technique with one for all, they do the stars and then the character will grab the final star and then pull back for a punch. I've always really liked that. I don't know, something about that just is really good for me.
Yeah, it's very well done. I don't know. I think after so many times seeing it in the anime, it just gets kind of go old to me. But I don't
How
know.
many times do they do it? Because the only two I can think of in the show is the 10 million% Smash and the United States of Smash.
I don't know. I felt like they did it a lot more, but maybe it's just because it's like literally the intro thing that they had for every single time in season one. It's just got so tired of seeing that animation.
True. Yeah, I mean, yeah, not a lot happened in the forest training arc. We saw them train up their
I mean,
we
the biggest thing that gets happened is links into the next arc, which is Bakugo gets kidnapped by the League of Villains. That
yes.
was their goal.
Yeah, I mean, and we learn more of the abilities of the league. Like we learn Dobby's cremation or yeah, it is called cremation. But and we
Yeah,
learn
get
we don't know Toga's quirk yet.
Yeah, she just cut Uraraka and did she take the blood? I
She
forget
did.
if she did or not.
She
Yeah.
she she cut her. No, she cut Sue's tongue, and then stabbed Uraka, and that was about it. And
Yeah, I
then
remember just her getting a bit of the blood. That's the important bit.
I did like the mustard. I did like the ingenuity of the mustard fight.
Yeah.
Um, we learn about Magna's ability with the magnetism, which also I feel like I should mention. This is the two times we have transgender. The two transgender characters are both introduced in this arc. It's Tiger
Mhm.
and Magna.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, though, I mean, most of the payoff for this arc is in the next arc, which
Yeah, it
is
really
why
is.
we're doing both of them together.
Yeah, yeah. Really isn't much to
Because,
talk
like,
about.
at least, like, judging these as arcs on their own, yeah, they can't really be done without the other. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the lost section that they feel in the hospital thing. Like, I get it. It's meant to be motivation for going to save Bakugo and whatnot. It's just
I really do find the scene of Kirishima pulling his arm out to get Deku to grab his hand, and then Deku with both of his hands in cast, and he can't move him. I just find that so funny.
yeah. I don't know. I guess just on reread, it feels like a bit like let us wallow in our own failure a little bit to
Oh yeah,
push
I
the
mean that was the
plot
rest of the
forward.
that was most of the class, but Kirishima's like,
Yeah.
fuck that, we're gonna go do it ourselves.
No, I know. It's like it's for those five who are actually motivated to do something. But
No, I also another thing I wanted to mention was I did really like the scene with Bakugo telling when Bakugo got captured, he told Midoriya to stay behind.
hmm. Yeah, no, I think this is like kind of honestly like the first part that shows like a bit of change for Bakugo.
Yeah, and I wonder what was the causing factor of that.
I mean, it's mostly done in desperate situations, it seems.
Yeah.
So, desperate situations where it calls for a more cool-headed Bakugo to have to come out on top.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what are your thoughts on like Ida's whole thing during this
Oh,
hospital
I
thing?
loved it. It makes so much sense. Like for any character to be frustrated about what was happening, it makes sense for it to be Ida.
No, yeah, I totally get it. I feel like, and I don't know if I'm remembering it quite right, but I remember just seeing that a lot of people aren't too big on that decision of Ida's, but
Oh no,
could be misremembering it.
I get it, and I honestly understand the rest of the class is like, no, we're not going to take part in this because if
No,
they,
no, I mean by like actual people.
oh, yeah, I just don't get like why people were upset with if people were upset with Ida's decision, like why? Because it makes sense. Ida's just doesn't want to do it, but he also doesn't want to see his friends make the same mistake that he
Yeah,
made.
felt he was being too stingy, which I don't quite get. It's like very much in character that
It's completely in character.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the one character, yeah, Momo, yeah, none of the characters are out of character. The characters that did go, none of them were out of character. It all makes sense for the people that went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the one thing I would be a little questioning on is why I don't know. Yeah, I can't even really think of anything like wrong with it because it makes sense. Like Midoriya, obviously he's gonna go rescue Bakugo. That's kind of like his whole thing. Uh,
Yeah.
Kirishima makes sense, but it makes more sense once we learn about his backstory later on.
Mm-hmm.
Ito,
Um,
yeah, Todoroki's gonna follow Midoriya wherever he goes.
And yeah, Yorozu kind of doing this
Yeah, Yorozu and
in
Ito
this
are both
game.
the class, are both the parents of the class, and have to make sure that their kids aren't doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think, and if anyone else had gone, I don't think it would have made that much sense.
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's also after they all got kind of beat up and whatnot.
If any, yeah, it's like I wonder how Bakugo felt when he only saw like five of his classmates came to rescue him.
I mean, considering that it was also like an invasion type thing, you'd probably also want a small team, so I think it's understandable.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, most of their role is just they save Bakugo, and that's about it.
Yeah,
Well, not getting into the conflict, because the big conflict is really between the League of Villains and the top heroes.
yeah. I really did. I guess since we're moving into it, I really did like the press conference. Um, I really did like that while everyone's trying to dig into UA, uh, Aizawa is standing, holding his ground. The guy who hates the media the most is probably the most well spoken out of them, and gets his point across and defends Bakugo, who really did need it because they were trying to make him out to be the villain in a lost cause.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is always kind of like the one I think that is a bit more understanding of most situations than he lets on, I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. And I did like that they used it as a distraction for the villains. I thought it was
Mhm.
incredibly well. It was incredibly well thought out plan. It's just when you have a character that basically has access to the command prompt of the video game we call life, you can't win.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just All for One is just too powerful.
Yeah, it's definitely not causing any problems. Nope.
No, why would that cause any problems with the guy that can steal quirks and has been alive for centuries?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Yeah. I guess so. Then I guess we should just start moving into the arc. So as everyone's in the hospital, we learn Kirshin wants to go after them, and then we also learn that Yayorozu had placed a tracker on a Nomu that had been at the attack in the forest, and was able
Mhm.
to create a tracking device for it. And so they convince so the group gets together and they convince Yayorozu to give them another tracker, but she also decides to go with them. So they go to it's communal ward, which also another
Yeah.
I forget. Yeah, every now and then I forget that Horikoshi's a huge Star Wars fan, and then I hear a location name, I'm like, ah, yep, there it is.
I mean, it's not hard to tell with Darth Vader Bane over there.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe that's why everyone's so insistent that uh All for One is Midoriya's father.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's just the helmet is somewhat Darth Vader
No, I
reminiscent, and when it's
definitely can
off,
see
it's
it.
kind of Bane reminiscent.
I definitely do see it. Um, yeah, so they go to communal ward and they figure out that the tracker is just leading to a Nomu plant, and they're about to leave when Mount Lady and Best Genus and Gang Orca arrive and destroy the place, and then we cut to the League of Villains hideout, and we see that Bakugo's been tied up, and Shigaraki's trying to convince him to join the villains. And
To
then,
which he responds in kind.
yeah, I think Aizawa gets it best. Is that Bakugo's something about something Bakugo has his goals and he's going to go there and nothing's going to stop him. And if the villains think they're going to turn him, then they're out of their minds.
Yeah.
It's like I don't see Bakugo ever being a villain. Sure
No.
he's not a good person, but he wants to save people.
And I mean, it's very like a thing that like a lot of characters who like don't normally seem to fit the mold of heroes, like whether it be Deku because he's quirkless or Monoma or Shinzo because of their quirks.
Yeah. Um. So we cut to them in the bar, and we see the teacher press conference on the TV, and Shigaraki, in just showing his perfect understanding of the situation, tells them to release Bakugo, who then attacks them because obviously why would Bakugo not attack them? That's like his whole character motif.
Yeah.
Um, so he attacks them, and then as they're in a standoff, one of my favorite parts of this arc happens where someone just knocks on the door and says pizza delivery, and then All Might just smashes through the wall. Like that was totally unnecessary. He could have just smashed through the wall in the first place.
Yeah, but you gotta add that extra
It was
effect.
I really enjoyed it because they're like, "What? Who ordered pizza?" And then All Might just smashes through the wall. And then we get what's his name? Who's the tree hero?
Oh shoot. Kamui?
Yeah, Kamui Woods. Kamui Woods uses his lacquer chain prison whatever move, and then uh, contains them all. And then who's the ninja one? Edshot. Edshot has a horrific move where he turns subatomic and goes inside Kurigiri and just messes with his organs until he passes out. Because that's ethical and safe.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think it would. Well, I mean, you have to learn how to not necessarily hurt people if you're trying to take them in. So
That's true. It's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. But he's able to take it, and then as Dobby's about to burn the prison, we get I feel like why am I suddenly blanking on all these hero names? I've never blanked on them before. Um, whoever All Might's instructor was, the old guy with the jet boots.
um,
I swear to God, I watched this. I promise I did.
no, I know. I'm blanking on his name right now too. So it's not like it wasn't
Sweet.
Torino, was it?
That was Gran Torino. Thank you. Gran Torino goes and kicks Dobby in the face and knocks him out cold.
Yeah.
That one looked like it definitely hurt.
Yeah.
This was season 3, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just pulling up the plot synopsis of the Hideout Raid arc. Alright, cool. Um, cool.
Yeah. Pretty much after this, it's mostly just the All for One versus All
Yeah.
Might fight.
After they take out Kurigiri and Dabi, Shigaraki has a little meltdown, and I'm guessing All for One heard it through the TV because suddenly Nomus are teleporting in, and um, Nomus are teleporting in, and the League of Villains are teleporting out, and we
Mm-hmm.
suddenly cut back to the um and that's where the kind of the episode ends, and then we get a post credit scene with what happened at the Nomu factory, which I really appreciated because you really get a good understanding of like how terrifying All for One is. Um, because they're about to leave, and suddenly Midoriya just senses something, and then suddenly the building is gone. It doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Yeah, it's just a cutaway scene in like the manga. It's just in like the middle of a chapter.
Yeah, it's not good. Uh, yeah, and then we get us. Then we get so then Best Genius tries to attack All for One, and then All for One blows a hole in Best Genius's stomach. That's a thing.
Yeah. I forget, is it mentioned that he's missing at the end of this arc
He's
or
missing at the end of this arc.
yeah.
I don't know why. Yeah, uh, missing's an interesting choice of wording. I think Best Genius has the best reaction time because, like, Best Genius immediately, as soon as All for One steps out of the shadows, Best Genius immediately just uses his quirk to restrain him, and Mount Lady's like, "Why would you do that?" He's like, "I don't. We don't know who this is." And frankly, Best Genius had the right idea. He should have just used much more force.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if he probably did use as much force, I don't think that would stop All for One.
I really don't. Yeah. Yeah. So after Best Genius does this and blows, after Best Genius gets a hole put in his stomach, All for One destroys the warehouse, and we see the reaction to the class's reaction, and it's just pure terror. It's just cannot move, like earth-shattering terror, and I would hate to be them in that situation because that would be so terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we cut, yeah, and then we start. And I think also a good part of this scene was Midoriya slowly realizing what this was, and slowly kind of realized that maybe he made a mistake in accepting One for All. Because yeah, I would not want to be the one that has to fight that. And then I think we go back to the bar, right? Yeah, I
Um,
think we cut back to the bar and we see them fighting off the Nomus. And yeah, and then we cut back to the bar and All Might jumps away and leaves the Nomus for the rest of the heroes. And then we jump back to the destroyed warehouse and um, uh, All for One brings the League of Villains over and tells Shigaraki that yes, he failed, but he can keep failing as long as he keeps trying. So All Might pops in. So this is when All Might finally appears, and we see All Might trying to attack All for One, but realizes that he can't because of Bakugo being in the way.
mhm.
Uh,
That's like where the students come in and plan the save.
yes. So I think Midoriya's idea was that Todoroki would create an ice ramp for them, and Midoriya and Ida would uh, run really quickly and grab Kirishima, who would then reach out for Bakugo. And I've always had an issue with this scene. I really hope Midoriya has the wrong understanding of Bakugo, because if not, this genuinely means that Bakugo would rather be stuck with the villains than accept help from Midoriya. And I genuinely hope that that is just Midoriya having a misunderstanding of their relationship, because I don't think Bakugo is that stupid.
Uh, I don't know. I think it's maybe just more familiar faces are nicer to see, but
Yeah, because like Midoriya is certain that if he were the one to reach out for Bakugo, Bakugo would not come with them. And like, come on.
yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's like, and if there is, it must be very minimal. Just because when reading over it, I did not remember reading any planning thing because it literally it just happens. Someone goes in the air, saves Bakugo, and that's about it.
Yeah, no. All right. So yeah. So they take off, and Kirishima sticks his hand out, and Bakugo, while trying to dodge the League
And
of Villains
Bakugo
and
is
trying to
saved.
kill him at this point, he blasts himself up there and grabs onto the group, and they get off.
Yeah, he's saved.
Uh, all right. So Bakugo's safe now.
And that's pretty much all that's all their involvement out of the way. Now let's get to the headlining fight of this arc.
Yes. All right. So the big part of this arc, the All for One versus All Might fight.
I mean, do we need to say more than it was like very well animated or very well drawn? Both were really well done in both mediums.
It was. Yeah, I think this is probably the best scene in this fight. So um, after they get All Might, after they get Bakugo out of there, we see one of the more interesting abilities of All for One, where he has Force Quirk activation, and basically, if he sticks you with one of his little needles, he can make you activate your quirk against your will, or
Hmm.
if you're unconscious. So he uses that on Kurogiri to warp everyone out, and then he also uses it on Magna to magnetize Toga and all of the guys fly into her and knock her through the portal. And so the League of Villains are gone now.
Mhm.
Alright, so now the fight can really begin. Alright,
Yes.
so, yeah, I don't know how to narrate a fight.
I mean, we could just really just highlight it. You don't need to narrate all of what happens in the fight.
Yeah, so as the fight progresses, we see other heroes start showing up as the damage starts getting worse and worse, and we see, um, we hear, All For One talk about, talk about All Might's predecessor. I think is this the first time we got the name of it, Nanashimura?
I think so.
Yeah, so he talks about All Might's predecessor, which enrages All Might, which can't believe All Might fell for the oldest trick in the book. Um,
Well, I mean, this is All Might we're talking about here.
yeah, he doesn't really have a brain. Um, and as the fight progresses, we see lots of scenes of we get lots of flashes of people around the world seeing the fight, and as the fight continues, you start realizing that All Might's slowing down and he's getting weaker. And suddenly, in after a decent hit, All Might shrinks on camera for the world to see, and we realize that All Might is at the very end of his abilities, and all he has are the dying embers of One for All. And
Yep.
as All for One relishes in the fact that everyone's seeing the truth about the symbol of peace, um, deciding to go for the final home run hit, All for One reveals that Tomoe Shigaraki is actually Nanashimura's grandson. Which what do you feel about this reveal?
I mean, I think it's more just to try and rub salt in the wound.
Yeah, but like from a plot point, like from a plot device, what do you think of this idea? Like that Shigaraki would be Nanashimura's grandson?
I mean, like, in what sense of it?
Like
Like,
from a narrated from
the effect on All Might, or
like not just in general, like the effect on the plot. Like what do you think of it as like a plot point? Like the fact that
I think
he's
it's more of just a thing meant to serve All Might than anything
but
at
like
this point.
do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, forced?
I didn't find it that forced.
I
I
liked it.
mean, because like it's just one of those. It's one of those things. I feel like we're more of just like all for ones trying to kind of gloat,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
I I do really like it, and I think it does a really good. It's got a good setup, and
Because it's one of those things that's like A, meant to make the audience question like, well, how the heck did this happen? A, and B, um it's also meant to act as a way to what's the best way to put it? It is the best way in order for Oliver One to somewhat rub salt into the wound of All Might himself, or basically he's not only losing his symbol but also everything that he stood for.
yeah, that's a good point. Um, as All Might uh realizes the weight of what's happening, we hear citizens from around the world start cheering for All Might, and uh, he realizes that even though this is his last fight, he still needs to finish. And hearing everyone cheering for him, he's able to focus One for All into his right arm and fight and throw a couple last punches.
Throws really everything into those couple last
He
punches.
does, and I really do like. I really, as we get towards the end, I really do like there's not a lot we can talk about here.
Mhm.
We get Endeavor appears and is not happy that All Might looks like this, and um, I am kind of intrigued with Endeavor's reaction. Uh,
Yeah, in the aftermath.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
as All Might, um, as the Pro Heroes start arriving, they start holding off All for One, so All Might can get ready for the fight, and um, All for One pulls out the his super technique with his arm, which you can see in the background right now, and throws a punch, which All Might deflects with his right arm and punches him, which All for One says that that was weak, and then All Might's got. I really do like the line where he says, "That's because I didn't put my back in it," and just smacks him with all he has with the
Mhm.
United States of Smash.
Yeah, and no one's just gosh, there is so much that they put into that.
And as he hits him, All Might bids farewell to All for One, and then says goodbye to One for All, and shrinks. Almost shrinks. I wouldn't say the last time because he does go back up every now and then, but shrinks for the last time.
Well, I mean, basically, it's the last time he's gonna be able to maintain that
Yeah,
form for any significant amount of time.
yeah. I mean, do you think he could throw? Like, I know they mostly use it as a gag from here on out, but do you think he could, if he were to throw a punch quick enough, that he could actually do damage?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's just like a muscle suit. It's like one of those muscle costumes. Like, it looks good, but you're not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
As the sun breaks, we see the news. We see All for One get put into the paddy wagon and sent off to Tartarus. And when All Might's asked for his statement, he says he points his finger towards the camera and looks away and says, "Next, now,
It's
it's your turn,"
it's your turn.
which means so many different things. I I I know the anime Midoriya sees it as Midoriya thinks people sees it as like it's the villain's turn. I know like we all know it means it's he's pointing towards Midoriya and telling him now it's your turn to step up. But I also
Mhm.
think it could be taken as he's talking to the pro heroes and the rest of the people, like to regular people, not just criminals, but like now it's your turn to step up and fill my shoes. I don't think that
Yeah,
I don't think yeah, we know what it was intended for, but I don't think it was actually intended for criminals, even if it wasn't intended for Midori. I think it was more intended as a now it's for every times for everyone to stand up and do their part.
I don't know. I always thought I don't know. Maybe like I don't know if I'm maybe misremembering or whatnot, but I think like more the manga and like again, I might be just misremembering it, and even like having read it just a little bit ago, I don't quite fully remember what the dialogue said, but I think it was more just that Midoriya realized that it was for him,
Oh,
like
it's
Bakugo
definitely
and
for
whatnot.
him. It's definitely for him, but I also think Midoriya took it the wrong way. Like Midoriya thought people took it the wrong way, which I don't know. I don't like the idea that people would think other people think it's for criminals. I think it makes more sense for it to
Well,
be.
yeah,
But
no,
yeah, no,
I
it was
definitely wouldn't
definitely All
think.
Might telling Midoriya, "It's your turn. You need to fill my shoes now."
Hmm.
Now that was definitely directed at solely towards Midoriya.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Um. Oh wait. Also, we forgot to mention that as he puffs up one last time and does his pose of fist in the sky, which I think
Hmm.
becomes a statue later on, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I think it was already a statue, I think might have been the case.
I don't think so. I think we'll talk about it in we'll discuss it in the spoiler section.
Which I mean, we're pretty close to getting into,
Yeah, we are.
I'd say.
So the next day, All for One's put in the prison. Which why did they keep him alive?
I don't think he's per se killable.
I'm pretty sure if you brought Aizawa into a room with him, you could get rid of him quickly.
I mean, maybe,
Depends on
but
how many quirks eraser can if eraser can erase all for one. Does it erase just all for one, or all of the quirks absorbed by all for one? That is a fantastic point.
that we probably won't know the answer until the end of the manga.
Yeah, if they even tell us then.
Yeah. Yeah, it might also just remain unanswered, period.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah, because I think we already kind of covered most of the wrap up. The only like other small thing is just
Didn't.
the kids moving into the dorms.
Oh, actually, one thing I did forget to mention is that during the fight, All for One does reveal that he knows who All Might's successor is, and he knows who Midoriya is, which that's not good.
What? Sorry, what did you say?
That during the fight, All for One reveals that he does know that Midoriya is the next holder of One for All,
Oh yeah.
which that's not good. Um, yeah,
I
and
mean, it'd be kind of weird if he didn't know.
I don't know. I
I feel like that's kind of spoiler, so I won't dive too into it. But
yeah, because like Shigaraki didn't know. Shigaraki just
yeah, but
hated
he
Midoriya
he
because Midoriya was like the face of UA for him.
yeah, but I mean, it's more of he wasn't exactly like he isn't exactly connected
Yeah,
to.
that's true.
He's just following at this moment.
Yeah, that's fair. You know what? Actually, this doesn't. So, Ragdoll's quirk that All for One stole, it was search. I know it told who was around you. Did it also tell the quirks? Because I think that would actually be the big figure out of how All for One figured it out. Because if it told you the quirks of those who were
I
around you, yeah, All for One's gonna know immediately.
have no clue.
Yeah. All right. So now we move into the wrap up. Society's learned All Might's true form and realize he can't save them anymore.
Students move into UA,
Well, yeah,
and
but
Endeavor becomes his number one hero, which I think we kind of already mentioned that
we
he's
did, and
we
he has a
see that kind of
huge freak
scene.
out. He has a huge freak out and destroys his training room.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the parallels of Endeavor and Bakugo in that scene. Both of them
Mhm.
throwing a temper tantrum because they didn't win the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's also one of those scenes I think that becomes slightly a bit retroactively better just knowing future
it
events.
does. It does. I think this is also a turning point for Endeavor's arc, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Which, yeah, I think yeah, like even starting just the next arc, we will get into it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's provisional hero license. Yeah.
Um, we see All Might in the hospital, and he reveals to Detective Tsukuyuchi and Gran Torino that Shigaraki is uh, Nanashimura's grandson, and we can already tell that All Might has this is basically compromised All Might, where he no longer sees Shigaraki as the villain. He sees Shigaraki as the grandson that he never got to save,
Hmm.
and that's really dangerous. And he's told as such. Um, let's see what's going on. We see Aizawa and All Might start going to the parents and trying to get them to move their kids into the dorms. And I think this is the first time we see Bakugo and Bakugo's parents interactions. Um, they're not good. Like I can definitely understand how Bakugo turned out the way he did.
Yeah, well, I mean, also just if we're talking innocence of reaction, like Midoriya's mom worrying
Oh yeah,
about
that I was gonna
him.
get to that next. No, I was just I was more referring to the fact that Bakugo's mom like hits him so multiple times in the conversation.
Now, I'm not condoning it, but it's just more of I think the personality traits
It
just
is,
passed down.
but I really do like his parents. You know, you have the fiery hothead mom and the pacifist dad that's just please stop fighting.
Yeah.
So we get to see his Bakugo's parents, and they agree with it. Um, I don't like. So Bakugo's mom says something along the lines of, "If you weren't so weak, you never would have gotten kidnapped," which I don't think that's a healthy mindset.
Yeah, yeah, just honestly,
But
she's.
then she also
I
shows
think
that
this.
she cares about. She does actually care about him and is
I
concerned
don't
with his
know.
safety.
It's such a weird character that we only see once, and I'm like, we aren't gonna delve into them further than this one appearance. So it's like, I
Yeah,
don't know. It's hard to really say what the gauge is meant to be on that character fully.
yeah. And then All Might goes alone to Midoriya's house, and I was really impressed with Midoriya Inko in this scene and how she said, "No, I'm putting my foot down. I'm not doing this anymore." Because like it
Well, I mean,
makes sense.
it's been technically a building thing since like the sports festival when he got hurt so
Oh,
badly.
actually, we forgot to mention something really big earlier on while Midoriya was in the hospital. Um, he gets told that if he ever does something like that again, that he may lose the ability to use his arms.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big thing. It changes Midoriya's fighting style for the rest of the show. But yeah,
I feel like it was kind of already changed after the original one, but it's just like he really cannot use his arms now.
yeah, no, he really can't risk it.
I mean, at least until he learns how to master
Yeah.
everything.
Um, yeah, so also we learned how Midoriya used the 1,000,000%. I think the doctor says that like when it calls it hysteria strength, which is a real life thing that like, when a car is about to fall on a baby, a mom can like lift the car to get the baby out from under it. Like
Mhm.
when in dire situations the human body can exceed its limits, but there's a reason it's called hysteria strength. You will damage your body if you use it, which is kind of what
Yeah.
happened in the fight. Midoriya used too much strength and it hurt him.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Midori Inko's like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like, if my child gets hurt again, he may lose the ability to use his arms, and I'm not gonna let him go to hero school. And Izuku freaks out, but not in the way it's played off that Izuku's mad and storms off, but really he just gets Koda's letter and says, even if you don't send me to UA, that's fine, but I've already started saving people. Let me continue down this path, and that gets Midoriya Inku to relent and let her son continue at UA.
Mhm.
And then I think yeah we're almost done. And then that night, All Might texts Midoriya to meet him at the beach, and as they're running towards each other, All Might just punches Midoriya and says, "What were you thinking?" And then is proud of him for going in there and saving his friend without getting hurt and without throwing a punch.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, and that is
About it,
that's it.
basically.
Yeah, cause yeah, that's it. Um, yeah.
All right, so into spoilers.
All right, into spoilers. One scene that I didn't mention because I didn't know how to say it, how to mention, didn't want to mention it without alluding to spoilers. I did really like the scene where, as Dobby's walking through the forest, he see uh Aoyama pops out of the bushes and sees him and freaks out and dives back in. Makes sense why
Oh,
Dobby
I
didn't kill him. It's because Aoyama's the trainer.
yeah, yeah. I was also thinking, there's a little bit of foreshadowing because, this is like the first time Davi he mentions like specifically Shoto Todoroki when
Oh
leaving
yeah,
as well.
yeah. He says him by name and seems to have some sort of aggression for him.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that's foreshadowing to it for sure. Um, what other things were we going to talk about? Oh yeah, the statue. I'm pretty sure that statue goes in after. I think the statue goes in where the fight happened, because when Midoriya goes solo, and fights the mind control villain.
Okay, I just was thinking for sure. I remember seeing a text piece saying like, "Oh, it's the same exact pose as the statue," but I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the statue is modeled after the pose because it goes where that fight happened, and then
No, but I mean by it was said like right
oh
after the fight.
oh I have no clue. It might be, but I'm pretty sure that statue took place afterwards. But I could be wrong because like I'm pretty sure the statue goes in at Camino because that's where I think that's where Midoriya is when he fights the mind control guy.
Yeah.
But I
No,
could
like
be entirely
I
wrong.
know what you're talking about. Yeah, I cannot remember if it was like basically inspiring it or if it just existed already.
I don't know, possibly. Um, what were the other things I was gonna mention? Um, yeah, I can't remember. Oh, yeah. No.
Um,
Yeah, you are right. There are two major turning points, and it's this chapter. It's the fight. It's this fight, and
and then the end of the war.
yeah. Well, I guess I would say the start of the war really changes it.
Well, more of the outcome of the war
Yeah,
in
the war in
general.
general.
Yeah.
I would say one of the minor ones is the kids getting their provisional licenses early.
Yeah,
That kind of screws them.
it,
Like
I
I
don't
can see
know.
why Aizawa wanted it, but it also did not work out in his favor.
I don't really think of that more of as a turning point. It's just a natural progression. Like
It
it's a
is,
thing
but like
that's
if
been,
no, I wouldn't say it's a full turning point, but it is like like if they hadn't gotten their provisional licenses, they never would have been in the war.
yeah, that's true. But like it was kind of said that it's like kind of needed at the moment.
No, yeah,
So,
I get why Aizawa wanted them to get it, but I don't think he envisioned what happened happening.
which is fair enough. I can definitely agree on that much.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I don't really got much more to say. It,
I felt like there was one other thing.
oh,
Oh, I think
Bestinus.
it was a bit about Bakugo.
Oh, yeah, that too. I was going to say Bestinus. I was yeah, because
Yeah, Best Genius as well.
Bestinus does survive this, but why he goes missing, I cannot remember. I think he was going undercover or something.
Yeah, I can't fully remember it either, honestly.
Yeah, I think something about him going undercover, but I don't fully remember.
Yeah.
Cause like I thought they said he was dead.
I think it was just missing. Although I think they kind of assume that he's dead.
Yeah.
At least some of their first conclusions. No, that's far from the case. I
Yeah.
always thought, yeah, that's a bit ridiculous to jump to that conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they wouldn't want to like outright state that this guy. Actually, I don't even know if he was undercover. I think it just took him that long to heal because it was a pretty serious wound.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if like him going undercover was the cover story for him having to heal so long.
Maybe.
Cause like yeah, he got a hole put in his gut. That can't be good for you.
No, definitely not.
Um, yeah, I don't really got much else. But yeah, Bakugo. You were gonna say something about Bakugo?
Just a little thing, just like that. This like first thing is like kind of the turning point to like where he starts becoming a bit more. I wouldn't say like self-sacrificing, but like it's definitely like the bit like it's like the part where his cool-headedness and like wanting to save people kind of comes in a bit more, I think.
Actually, I do got another one. Um, when after Midoriya watches the All Mights, now it's your turn. Um, he starts bawling, and Bakugo kind of looks at him and is like, you can see the pieces starting to connect in his head. And then
Hmm.
we did forget one thing I did forget to mention earlier was that as All Might was leaving Bakugo's house, um, Bakugo goes out and straight up asks him like, "What is Midoriya to you?" And
Yeah.
All Might's like, "Well, he's just a student and a promising upcoming hero like you." And then in his mind, it's like, "I'm sorry, I have to lie to you, but I cannot tell you the truth.
Yeah, although it'll be revealed
Give it
pretty
an arc.
soon.
Give it an arc, and he'll have the truth."
Yeah, I'm like at the end of the next arc, I believe.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
I think that about wraps it up, though.
Yeah. Alright, I think
Yeah.
that'll do it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back next time. Bye bye.
Bye.